And I told him that my daughter cries a lot, but I can distinguish when she really means it. And I told her that I pay attention to her cry, not her whine. I ignore the whine, I pay attention to the cry. And I told him that night that let's be a people who are going to cry out to the Father for tomorrow. And that's all I said. And when we closed our eyes, God's presence fell there in a way where I really can't describe it. I really cannot. And then we went to go pray for the open air arena. And we were praying together and walking around. And that same circle was around the moon that we saw in the retreat, which was pretty interesting as well. And Thursday came along. And that's what I want to talk about today. The morning came up and some people went to the medical, and I went into a room and I knew God was there because I'm not the type of person who prays for hours and hours. I'm not. I pray an hour, I can do that. But I went into a room, they started cleaning, and the last thing I could remember was them calling me for lunch. And when I was eating lunch, slurping lunch. When I was slurping lunch, I was recognizing that God was going to do something amazing. So the night comes and the day comes and it's a beautiful night. The moon's out, the star's out. And we start worshiping, and I'm sitting on the platform, and I start praying and praying and praying, and they're worshiping, and I open up my eyes and I look at the people that are there, and I close my eyes and I said, "Oh God." And I said, "Oh God," because Brazilian people never make it on time. Never. And we started worship, and it was bus after bus and people after people. By the time I got up there, I had told all the missionaries that when I would start preaching, just to line up in front of the stage. And I started preaching. And that day I did not pray for anybody. I just preached and made sure the service went well. And I was standing from top looking at our church people. And you can see the presence of God upon them in a way where it's unexplainable. And I was preaching and preaching and preaching, and somebody told me that night, "How was your night?" And I told them, "Better than yours." And she looked at me kind of funny. And she says, "What do you mean?" And I said, "It was better than yours." And I said, "I didn't pray for anybody. Nobody got healed. And nobody came to the Lord. But seeing you move the way you moved tonight was my blessing." And people after people would come up and testify while we were doing the service. It was like multitudes of people, and multitudes of people that I just couldn't believe it. And then as people were being healed, they were being brought up and testifying of things disappearing and certain things happening to them. And if I sit here and tell you what happened, it's just not going to work. And while the night was going on and on and on, we finished the meeting and we were walking to our hotel, our abandoned hotel. At one point we looked back and there was like a multitude of people behind us. And there were so many verses as the trip went on that came to life in such a way where I used to know it in my head, but not in my